we're going to be getting a new contract. We have to sign a new contract with Blizzard, telling Blizzard we will be good boys. We will no longer be racist in the game. That's right. Blizzard is ending racism. It's had a good run. It's gone on for quite a while, but thankfully Blizzard is here to shut it down. All right, here we go. Let's see it.
Where did you get that from? The Poor People Shop. Don't invite me to your group. I want to join your group if anything. What's your score? What's your score?
What is wrong with you? Have you seen your adventure plate? Do you think that's good, do you? You look like an Echo player. An Echo player. Do you want to look like a Roger Brown? Do you?
Nobody does.
Absolutely suck, mate. You suck. Get out of my dungeon. And
Terms of service, social contract. So what the fuck? Oh.
Guys, wait. Little Sprouts watching the cutscene. I remember my first time.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll wait. It's fine. Hey! Oh, that adventure plate is amazing.
Wow.
No, it doesn't make you look poor at all.
It's another cat girl bending over.
I wish I could make mine look like that. You know what? I just look around and I think, this is what happiness truly is.
Yay. All right, here we go. Let's see it. I'm ready for this shit, bro. I am ready. That's crazy, I know.
The social contract is coming to WoW. This is not a WoW bash thing, because actually, the social contract exists in many games already, but re-emphasizing this is something that is done for all the wrong reasons, is my take on this.
That is my opinion, too. So true, so real. There it is, dude.
Damn thing.
Yep.
What I've noticed, and you guys are well aware, is ever since we stopped actively covering WoW coverage, I have been dipping my toe into as many MMOs as I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
Like in big ones.
That's
I'm not doing every single MMO that's ever been made. I'm not playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure or anything.
I like Hello Kitty Island Adventure a lot more than this stuff.
Ew.
But we're looking at a lot of the big ones, Destiny 2, we've been playing some EVE Online, we've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy, etc., etc. And one thing has become very clear, and I've tried to make this point in a number of videos, is that it's gameplay design that encourages positive behavior, not a list of stuff that tells you you can't be a racist, bigoted asshole. That's kind of a given societally, at least for most people.
Here's what I think. I think that it's both. I think that really, if you have no moderation, in any place where there is no moderation, what is the most popular word? It's the N-word. That's the word everybody uses. And they use it in every sort of a way. And that's it. Yeah, they say whatever they want to say. They do whatever they want to do. Yep, that's it. And nerd news? Yes, exactly. The gamer word. The ultimate end-all, be-all gamer word. And so I think that a lot of it, the reason why WoW has a community that they feel like needs a social contract is very simple. It's because not only is the company obviously have a fucked up like workplace situation, right? Or at least they did. But on top of that, they don't moderate the game. So like you have plenty of cases where people break the TOS and then nothing happens to them.
And it's usually something that's done in a sort of ambiguous way. They're never very specific. It's like, if you are hate speech, whose definition of that is what, right? Who decides what isn't? Now, for most of us,
it's like for a lot of people, like hate speech could be using the N-word. It could be using the F-word. Other people think saying retard is hate speech. Other people saying there's only two genders is hate speech. Other people think saying, like, let me think. Like, I think those are probably just like that's the most, that like transgender people can't compete in like sports against people of the opposite gender that they transition to, right? Or like, like that was like a big thing. Like, so like, where's the line for like what's hate speech and what's not? I mean, I do think that like what he's going to bring up makes sense because everybody does have a different line.
Very obvious. If you call someone an overtly racist name or some really homophobic or gendered term, then yeah, you're being a douchebag and that's clearly obvious. But that line also gets pretty vague.
It does.
Now, this is similar, and I know it's not on the same topic, to FF14's recent sort of discussion about add-ons. Is their purpose is very clear. Like, it's although it's written with some vagary, their intention is very clear. They don't want FF14 to turn into an add-on fiesta like World of Warcraft. They don't want that. So they're very clearly trying to say, look, if you're creating some sort of add-on or plugin, that makes the game easier, in their opinion, or simplifies it, that's the kind of thing we don't want. But they paint it with a broad brush, which is like, we're just against all add-ons. Right?
Because they don't want to deal with it.
We talked about that in the last video, is they paint it with that brush so that they can easily toe the line between what they want to get rid of and what they don't. They actually probably don't mind people doing X and Y, and they are just as most video games understand, there's going to be some drama and conflict that occurs in video games where you're playing with multiple people all the time from around the world who are brought up in different cultures and have different ways of thinking, and some people are just complete assholes regardless. Like,
what if they start actually banning people for being racist in WoW and the game dies? Like, I'm just thinking about, like, how fucking funny that would be. Is like, yeah, they actually start banning everybody, and then, like, the game just dies. Because it's like, that was the only people that were playing it. Like, 40% are unsubbed. Yeah, I know. I see this a lot on, on Twitter, is you have, like, all of these, like, people that are these, like, WoW simps. And they start talking about, like, how good the social contract is and, like, how important it is and all this stuff. And, like, they always talk about how, oh, I know there's so many people that are angry about this, and, you know, they're all so wrong. Oh, they're so bad. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, who's saying this? Like, 5 people on Twitter? Like, it's like, yeah, it's like they're jousting with windmills here. They're fighting, they're charging into the red flag, the red carpet. There's nobody there. There's like 15 morons. Who cares? It's just, there's no downsides to this. Yeah, it's just like, oh my God, it's so patronizing. I hate it.
That happens all the time as well. So what they don't want to say is, like, you can't say X, Y, and Z, and that has tried in the past. You might remember Twitch did something like this a while ago, where they came up with, like, literally a list of words that you weren't allowed to say.
No, this is actually not, that's actually not true. So Twitch had, like, they said that, and then they walked it back. So yeah, blind playthrough. And they actually never got rid of that. They just got rid of that as a tag. Like, if I said I'm doing a blind playthrough, Twitch would not ban me. This is not true.
There's a big controversy is that you couldn't use the word blind. Where one of the most common things in all of video games is blind playthroughs. Yeah. You put that in your title, and that tells everybody, because it's part of the nomenclature of the culture, is that this is somebody who's playing a game for the very first time. And now,
and also, I want to keep in mind and, like, contextualize this, is that whenever this was an issue, there were people from the blind community. One of them messaged me, because a lot of people that play video games that have, like, that are visually impaired, they're not completely blind. Like, it's not like they can't, it's not like their eyes are closed. It's like, it's hard for them to see things at the level that you can see them, right? For example, how? Well, that's how, because I knew you guys were going to say how, and I preemptively started explaining how, because I knew that you would say that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, people have, like, different degrees of, like, blindness, right? It's not like everybody is like Illidan, they can't see anything, and that's it. There's a lot of people who are legally blind who can still have a certain level of functional reading and comprehension of what's going around them. That's what it is. And let me go back and double check this. Legally blind are merely impaired rather than having zero. Yes, they are visually impaired. That's not necessarily what it is. And anyway, so one of those people messaged me, and they said that they were part of the blind community and the visually impaired community on Twitch, and Twitch didn't really listen to them on this at all. Twitch just did it. This is like another, like these people, like, I feel like they thrive on self-aggrandizing themselves through this virtue signaling, and, like, the longer that they go without getting another praise from Twitter for doing the right thing, it's like they start dying, right? It's like they need this. That's what that feeds them. It keeps them alive. And so it's like, it's been 3 weeks, we haven't gotten a pat on the back from, some fucking Twitter mob, so we need to do something else. And so they threw this together. Oh my God.
To be first playthrough and things like that, and people try and push it, along with a lot of other very derogatory terms.
Yeah. And
when you try and do this very specific line, it makes it awkward, because one thing I know from people, not just gamers...
It's very obvious, right? So, like, for example, if you call... It's kind of like, remember, like, the whole conversation about, like, cracker? And, like, is cracker a racist term or not? It's that it's not about, is it a racist term or not? It's, are you using it in a way that is derogatory and meant to be a racist term? Like, for example, if you call a black person a monkey, that's fucking racist. It's fucking racist. Now, there are instances where, like, maybe he didn't mean it that way, but it clearly is. Now, is it against the rules to say monkey? No, it's not. But if you do it in that way, it's a big problem. Do you see what I'm trying to get at here? Last stream? What do you mean? What's wrong with this? No, we're just talking sense here. Yeah, it's not like, you can't compare the two at all. I think that to the extent that you create a word in order to degrade somebody, it doesn't really matter about what the context is behind it. It just matters about what the intent is. Does that make sense? So, like, yes, you're right. It's like the same as like comparing cracker versus the N-word. Obviously, the N-word is worse. That's why it's called the N-word, and it's not the C-word. Of course, it makes sense. I'm not saying that one of these is not worse than the other. What I'm saying is that both of these words are used in this way, but it's contextual. So, like, if somebody is using it in a negative or a bad way, it's very different than, like, calling somebody that and saying, well, I had something to eat today, and that's what I had to eat. Do you see what my point is? The word in the end is about intent. Yes, exactly. And what's this here? It's not racist, call a white person a monkey, but it is if it's black. I think in a lot of contexts, yeah, I think it would be much more likely to be racist. Yeah, it's the same as, like, for example, it depends on, like, what you're trying to do, right? And so, like, for example, if I say that, like, there's a girl who's overweight, well, let me make an even better example, or another example. I think they're both good, but this is another example. So, like, let's say there's a girl who's fat, right? She's fat. Everybody knows she's fat. And I start talking about how much of a big, beautiful woman she is. You know, she's she's really, there's a lot to love there. That's not really something that's bad, fundamentally. Saying any of these things are not bad, but the way that you say it and the intent behind your words is clearly aggressive. It's clearly trying to hurt somebody. It's clearly trying to degrade somebody in a bad way. It's the way you fucking say it. It's the context. Yeah, it's the context. And so that does that make sense, right? Is history of people being racist with the word monkey? All right, let's move on. I don't trust random people to not be racist. Like, listen, like, I'm not going to get into this too much. I think that what I'm saying makes perfect fucking sense. Anybody who's not understanding this is being crazy. It's because you associated the statement with stereotypes. There's nothing I said that was wrong. Everything I said was completely accurate. People are intentionally misunderstanding me. If you intentionally misunderstand me, I'll just ban you. What I said is completely clear, and there's no way to misunderstand it unless you're a fucking idiot.
Line, it makes it awkward, because one thing I know from people, not just gamers, is everyone's always trying to figure out the line. They're trying to figure out, where can I go? Where is it? Where can I push to? And when very strict lines are drawn, that's where it goes. So
that's what the issue is, right? It's because people will use different words to create racist connotations and racist contexts. But it's like, if you know that that's what they're doing, then it's kind of obvious that's what they're doing. And that's my point behind it. It's like the context, and I think that there's a big problem online with intellectual dishonesty and people saying things like this, right? And like, people will use different words for like different races of people. And like, some of these words will be like, oh, well, you don't, like, it completely goes under the radar because people don't understand it, right? Like the tryhard thing. Another one, people use the word jogger to refer to black people. This is very common now. I see it all the time in chat. Sometimes we have to ban people for it because they think they're being clever. People use other white power or like, white supremacy things, like the 14 words or 1488 or something like that. What? True? What the fuck? Yeah, because you guys see, like, and the fact that everybody's question marking me proves my point. You see how it proves my point though, right? Is that because I know this stuff and you don't know it, it goes completely under your radar and you don't even notice it. Yeah, you don't even know this happens. Yeah, oh, I understand why. Yeah, exactly. They live under a rock? No, they don't. Like, it's very hard to even pick up on this stuff. Why would anybody know about that? Yeah, of course not. Normies in chat. Yeah, it's a 4chan thing. Exactly. Asmongold 4chan? Yeah, of course I've been on 4chan before. And never goes under the mods radar. True, my mods are gods. Hearts in chat for the mods. Jibu, good job. They're called dog whistles. Exactly. I know this stuff, and I know this because I've been on the internet for 20 fucking years. Yeah, I've seen this stuff for a long time. So yes, a lot of people try to say stuff like this and go under the radar. My mods know about this, but a lot of you guys don't. I'm not wrong. You can look this up. Where do you get might be getting taken out of context and get banned? If I get taken out of context and get banned, good. Because if we are in a world where me having an honest conversation, using examples in a honest way, directly, speaking clearly, gets me banned, good, I'm done. Yeah, then I'm done. Because I'm not saying anything wrong here. I'm saying what a lot of people won't say because they're too fucking afraid to say it, because they're worried about being taken out of context. No, I'm not worried about that at all. Because I know that what I'm saying is true. I know that if people look into it, it'll be true. And there's no way that's going to happen. So I'm not stressed out or worried about this at all. Not even in the slightest. Yeah, why would I even be worried in any way? Make the argument about everything because you want to know, because you know, but your channel, do whatever you want. So do I have to prove that there's a correlation between these two words? Is there an Urban Dictionary? Let me try that. Urban. I literally can't show it because the Urban Dictionary definition says N-word as auto-corrected by Apple. That's what it is. That's literally what it says on Urban Dictionary. I was right. There's literally a wiki page. Yep, I was fucking right. I know what I'm talking about with this stuff. Yes, that's exactly what it is. What the fuck? Yep, it's on Urban Dictionary. So you guys had no fucking idea about this. Everybody question marked me about this, but I was right. And that's what I'm saying, is that all the words that people use, there isn't just a list. What Preach is saying, this actually has something to do with the video. I know this might surprise you guys, but this actually has something to do with the video, is that it's not about the words that you use. It's about the way that you use the words and what the context and intent is behind the words. I didn't question mark you on this? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, words fly under the radar. Yeah, they fly on the radar for you, not for me. Like I see that shit immediately. There's a Twitter post saying you just called black people monkeys. Oh, really? Well, I'm sure they'll get a lot of likes. Hopefully they can add their Cash App as soon as it goes viral, and they can make at least $14 off of it. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be very successful for them.
The TOS thing and there was some outrage about this, but it seemed unnecessary to me. It's really Blizzard reiterating, it's like, look, we're probably going to take a stronger stance on this, especially after the lawsuits that are going on and all the controversies. Like, we're going to be more actively taking part in this. Far too regularly, and this has happened recently with the influencer program, the experts, the WoW expert council, the WoW council thing is, you know, people releasing screenshots that have some racist terms in them, even though X and Y wasn't really involved, but it occurred in their environment, and Blizzard taking action and doing all this kind of stuff, and people going, well, that's not fair, this is all bullshit and all this kind of stuff. And it's really a case that if Blizzard really wants to encourage a positive gaming behavior, there's a couple of approaches that are just considerably better that happen at the design phase of the game. And
the design of the game encourages toxicity in WoW.
Really, with social contracts, because I'm also seeing a lot of people arguing that, well, this will make things much better now. Now Blizzard has struck down and said, hey, we're not going to allow racism and stuff. It's like, duh. Duh. I mean, I've reported people for racism before, but ironically, there was a video I did during the Shadowlands Alpha where I did report somebody who was being a complete toolbox, and a lot of people in my comments section said I was being a snitch, a grass, a pussy, all those
that's because the truth is most people don't care about any of that stuff, and they just want to be able to play the game and say whatever they want. That's really why. They don't care about hate speech or bad words or anything like that. They just want to play the game, and they don't want to be told what they can and can't say. There's no fine print. There's no nuance. There's no context. They don't care if it hurts your feelings. It doesn't matter to them because your feelings don't matter. That's it. So, like, yes, there's no... By trying to understand it, you are just... You're leading yourself into a black hole. There's no way to there's nothing to understand. They just want to say whatever they want.
This could be a kid, right? this is going to be a kid who's having to listen to this shit. Like, that's not funny. That's not a joke. And you can call me an old man, boomer, whatever, but I look at it from that perspective as like, this could be one of my kids who's having to listen to this bellend talking all this shit and saying all this awful stuff which he's not allowed to hear at home. And yeah, I don't think it's right. Whatever. I don't think it's right, and I'm not going to fucking stand for it. I don't care if you call me a pussy or whatever. And thankfully, Blizzard reached out to me afterwards and like, thanks for that. That was good. Make that example. And I was like, I wasn't trying to make an example. I would do that regardless if I was recording this or not. What I do want to talk about, though, is the ways that we can certainly create a better environment, because ultimately there's a lot of people who consider WoW to be very toxic right now, which sucks, because Dragonflight...
Well, I think that WoW is toxic for two reasons. The design of the game creates toxic... it creates rage moments. Like, for example, whenever somebody dies in Mythic Plus or something like that happens, that creates a rage moment. It makes people mad that, like, this is happening. And, yeah, I absolutely think so. But at the same time, you also have other cases where it's the players that do bad stuff don't get punished. And because they don't get punished, other people do it too because they think that it's okay. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of like what happened. You say it doesn't matter to a lot of people. True. I remember 12-year-old me never playing MMOs, but as soon as my accent was heard, I got five N-words as soon as possible. Yeah, because people just want to be able to say whatever they want. That's literally all there is to it. It's like, for example, like, remember back whenever Speed had, like, that big drama thing happen where, like, he was, like, being, like, super, like, abrasive towards, like, that girl? And, like, a lot of Speed's community didn't care. Like, Speed lost no viewers because of that. Nobody gave a shit in his community. And that was millions of people. They didn't care. And then Aiden Ross said that forward, right? And then guess what? Nobody cared. Nobody in his community cared. And yes, obviously there are communities that do care, right? If it was my community or maybe like Hassan's community or something like that, if one of us did that, yeah, probably they would be more, people would be more upset. Would this cause a viewership loss? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But what I mean is that a lot of people just simply don't care. And that's the full stop to it. There's no, as I said, there's no nuance to it. There's no context to it. They don't care about how it makes you feel because they don't care about you. They only care about themselves and being able to say and do what they want. And you are just getting in the way of that, and they don't like you because of it. That's it. Yeah, don't care.
It was hopefully going to be really good, and we don't want to leave that toxic atmosphere stewing, but it needs to change in different ways. FF14 is considered all sunshine and roses and happiness. Unquestionably, radically different social environment. Radically different. I'm not undermining how massively different the environment is. It is not perfect. There are certain social faux pas that exist in FF14 that people take extremely seriously.
Yeah, like spoilers.
And a simple one would be if you have a new player in your dungeon and they're watching a cutscene for the first time, it is very, very respectful to let them watch it till the end. And
well, it's like you have to, though. Because, like, for example, like, you have to watch the cutscene. Because, like, you can see, like, on the name, like, it says viewing cutscene. And this is, like, for example, like, for the fucking, like, the trials and shit, right? It is, like, you can't leave the circle. That's not true? Yeah, it is. It is true. If you don't watch the cutscene, and everybody in the group skips the cutscene, not for dungeons? No, it's not for dungeons, but it is for trials. You're right. We're both right. Like, you're right for dungeons, I'm right for trials.
What you can do is, if you've already seen that cutscene before, so you've played the story and you're replaying this dungeon for leveling purposes or whatever, is you can go and pull the boss straight away while the cutscene's playing. Some of these cutscenes are 2 or 3 minutes long. And that person is just not going to take part in the boss fight. The boss fights aren't difficult, so it can be 3-manned or whatever.
Yeah.
And that person comes back after maybe watching a very important part of the story. People take the story very seriously in FF14, and the boss is nearly dead. Or it's like, I'm locked out of the room, or whatever it might be. And it's considered a really big social faux pas. Now,
yeah, it's very true.
As well as not commending people at the ends of dungeons. And this is what leads me to the gameplay scenario.
It's also against like the social contract really to ask for commendations. Like, a lot of times before we pull the boss, whenever I was trying to get my 300 or 500 commendation mount, I would always start the fight, and before I pull the boss, I would say in raid, I first started saying thank you in advance for the commendations, and then I started pretending to be a girl to try to get more commendations. And I was doing this on my second stream, and it actually, like, there were a few times that it worked, man. Yeah, hey, look. Amount's amount.
Play encouragements.
Same with, yeah.
That work.
I
Some
did the
games don't bother
yeah.
at all, which is another approach that people can take. So I would consider Destiny 2 to be more in line with that, which is that you can go into a strike or whatever outside of very, very organized raid content, and if there's people there, great. If there's not, there isn't. They're faceless, nameless for the most part.
Yeah.
Very rarely you're going to bump into them again. It's essentially this mission can be soloed, and if other people are also doing it at the same time, then they're there too. And that's about it.
So it's like the islands and like the events in Lost Ark. It's like once you have a few people there, if you have like 7 or 10 people there, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. I think that's pretty cool. Playing Destiny right now. I mean, to be fair, like this does look kind of cool. I've never played Destiny before though.
Is
that game design problem
works, but it's kind of a hands-off approach and doesn't really foster a great community feel, which is where I think FF did get things right, and I hope WoW looks at it this way. I think the best example is honestly Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
Mythic Plus is
super fucking toxic, like, in my opinion, and I think that it's toxic. It has head desk and, like, fucking desk slam things, like, programmed into it.
Very, very hard experience for the average player to get a positive experience with.
Yeah.
Years ago, I would have said something similar to what you'd read on many forums when people struggle with Mythic Plus is make your own group. And the more I think about it now I'm detached from that world and looking back on it, it's like, wow, that's actually really shitty advice. That's like terrible advice. Yeah, you can get a group together, but the problem is you're putting your key up on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And this is what then fosters the negative environment of individually scrutinizing every single player that you're going to be dealing with. It encourages that play. And then Blizzard doubles down on it because now we have the rated.io score in-game as well.
Yep.
And the reason it does that is you're putting your key up for chopping. And if this key fails, it's your key that suffers. And your loot that suffers. And all these kind of things. So, of course...
You shouldn't be able to deplete a key. If they change Mythic Plus to where you can't deplete keys anymore, the game would only get better. There is literally no value that depleting a key adds to the game. It just adds literally zero value to the game.
You're being encouraged to really heavily scrutinize and take the best of the best of the best possible as best as you can tell, which then
just heavily
undermines all the other players who just want to get their dungeon done and are probably really average to good players, if not amazing players. There's always some bad ones in there, but they're heavily pushed out of the scene because of the environment around how the game works.
Someone said, I want to say this, completely ignores all high ELO runners like DJ Rush and such. Yeah, because I don't care about high ELO players. Who gives a fuck about them? They're going to play the game no matter what. Who cares? Like, yeah, nobody cares about them. Like, they're like 1% of the population. Why should we even, why are we even thinking about them? They're irrelevant. Most people don't care about that. Like, it doesn't affect them at all. Like, I don't want Blizzard to make decisions like, oh, well, we have to make it different because, you know, what about the high-end players? They're going to keep restarting the game. They're going to keep restarting the Mythic Plus dungeon. They're going to keep restarting it. But we can't have them restart the dungeon. What if they restart it and then they restart it again? Oh my God, what's going to happen? Who gives a fuck? Who cares? This is the same mindset. Oh, we can't let people just change their conduits. They're going to be changing their conduits all the time. That's all they're going to be doing. Who cares? Yeah, the 1% are a problem. Yeah, they don't matter, man. They have literally, like, they and the best part about it is, do you think these people are ever going to quit? No, they're not going to fucking quit. That's their job. Yeah, good for both. Can't deplete whenever below plus 20. It shouldn't deplete at all. There's no value for it depleting at all.
It's designed to not reward failure too well. It used to do that.
And what happens whenever you're stuck on a 15 key on a dungeon you can't beat and your key is bricked for the week? Well, I guess that's just, well, we can't have a solution for that. I don't know. I mean, I guess I just have to quit the game. I mean, how could anybody ever find a solution for such an elaborate problem? What if there's a key and I can't? I don't know. I guess that's it. It's over.
He used to do that in several ways. I remember even back in vanilla when average BG started rewarding high warlord gear, or there were enough points to buy them, and people were really upset. Now, that was part of an exclusivity situation, but you can now see, if you think about it, is Mythic Plus, if it goes wrong, it's not going to increase your score. Let's say you're farming score. It doesn't increase your score anymore. It's all going wrong. People are leaving. And we've all seen those threads, if you've paid any attention, of people basically calling for the abject murder, hanging, and disembowelment of anybody who leaves a Mythic Plus dungeon and leaves your key.
Yeah, I've never left a Mythic Plus dungeon ever on my own. Like, there was a time where we were wiping a lot. It was in like Legion or BFA, and like everybody collectively agreed like this is not going to happen. It's like, oh my guys, let's just call it. They're like, okay, let's stop. It's over, right? And like that was it. But I have never left a Mythic Plus dungeon ever. Punish the leavers? No. Why would you punish somebody for not wanting to waste their time in a bad run? Like, if you know that the key isn't going to hit the timer, and you know that you're not going to be able to finish the boss, why should you punish somebody for leaving the run? There's no reason. Yeah, like that's stupid. Like, yeah, leaving isn't the answer, though. Yeah, add an incentive to stay. Yeah, I don't want to. I think that this is, again, like, MMO players are like fucking 50 Shades of Grey enjoyers. They have to find a way that they can, please, Daddy Blizzard, please punish me. Punish me for doing something wrong. Punish me for being bad. Make me run back to my corpse again. I don't want to do that. It's so fucking annoying, man. I don't, like, if there's any level of a punishment in the game, I don't want to deal with punishments in games. I don't play video games to be punished. I play them for fun, to relax, to enjoy myself. And if I'm being punished by having my time wasted, or by having some arbitrary restriction being placed on my character because I don't want my time wasted, I am not having fun, and I don't want to play the game. It's that simple. Yeah, don't do hardcore content? Why not both? Why does hardcore content have to be punishing? Lost Ark isn't punishing. Neither is Final Fantasy. So why does WoW have to be punishing? It doesn't. You're making up this necessary nature of it whenever it's not the case. Yeah, that's not it. They're gatekeeping. It's embarrassing.
High and dry, and that's because it's a very negative effect of putting yourself out there and trying to get in a group. Much safer to just keep rolling and rolling for hours and hours until somebody else lets you in, and you get a lesser negative impact. But if the group falls apart, you still get a very negative impact. It's a gameplay situation that's creating this environment, which leads...
Exactly. Like, I'll give you two examples, okay? So let's look at two different examples of a fight, and let's look at the Souls universe, right? Blue Smelter Demon and Ishin. Ishin is a lot harder than the Blue Smelter Demon. I think we can probably all agree on that. But Ishin, all you have to do is you just run up the stairs and then you fight him. There's no trash mobs you have to avoid. But meanwhile, if you want to go to the Blue Smelter Demon, bro, you've got to be Neo. Dodging all these fucking attacks, watching out for the other guy, jumping down the hole, avoiding that guy. Then you try to go through the portal, and then it fucking, you get hit, and then you lose like you're fucking going through the portal, and like that's punishing. But which one's a better fight? Which one is more enjoyable to do? Well, Ishin is more enjoyable, I would say. And I think that most people, like 99% of people, would fucking agree with me on that, right? But the fact is that there are people who think that, like, oh, well, you run back. That's part of the punishment. Why? Why? Sekiro showed that you can have harder boss fights without that punishing element, and it's totally fine. Yeah. I completely disregard any element that this is necessary to a game. Yeah, this is literally never necessary to a game, and it only makes a game worse. Elden Ring is the same way. What do you have to do? Like, oh, you're going to fight Godfrey. Okay, well, you walk over to Godfrey. Oh, you're going to fight Radon. Well, what do? You walk over to Radon. Like, the punishment for losing should be losing.
Gear score, which leads to having rated.io score and all those things, because the gameplay intuitively gives that. Vice versa, on the other side, like some of the things we've talked about before is their endgame zone Bosia, which fully encourages audience participation and cheering on people to do well. You get rewarded for that, for taking part in that situation.
Yeah.
In dungeons, if you have a new player, like I talked about before, they will reward you with more stuff. A big message appears as soon as you enter that dungeon saying, hey, there's a guy here who hasn't done this dungeon before. We're going to give you more rewards. Be respectful of their time. Let them watch the cutscenes. This is the kind of thing that's beneficial. You get the commendation system at the end, which is polite, and most people do this, is give a commendation at the end. Who did well there? That then encourages them to build up their personal commendations so maybe they can help others. It encourages people to be helpful. When people are stuck, people are clearly not understanding what's happening in the dungeon, they're failing things, it helps you to go, hey man,
this is how it works.
Mechanic that you failed on, like, so you got Doom. So what you need to do is you need to run on the glowing platform, and that'll get rid of the Doom debuff so you won't die. It's like, oh, okay. And then that person might commend them for that. Now, obviously, there's the mentor situation in FF14, because not every solution is perfect where people are being overly helpful.
Yeah.
That's a problem as well, but I think I would rather...
Yeah, they're trying to be, like, overbearing about that. I think that in general, at any point that you try to make your game punishing to waste the player's time, I think that I think that's always a bad game design decision. Like, I can't think of a single instance where that has made a game better. Every single time it makes the game worse. It doesn't matter whether it's like repair costs in classic WoW, respecking, running back to a boss in Dark Souls 2. These are all negative effects and bad things about the game. Yeah, Elden Ring, Dark Souls. The people that use Elden Ring and Dark Souls as an example for a punishing game are people that have probably never actually played the game. Some people really do like high risk reward style games. Some people like doing that. Yeah, I think so. Like for hardcore and stuff like that in like PoE, yeah. I think so. But I think those people are like a fraction of a percent. They're like people that are like adrenaline junkies that like need to have, you know, extra stress in their life. And so like they play video games for some reason, right? Like, yeah. But like, I think most people that do that, I think there's a lot less of those people than you might think. And the only reason why you see a lot of them is because a lot of streamers do stuff like that. And it's not actually because they enjoy it. I think that in many cases, it's just simply because it generates more viewership. Watching high stakes content is more interesting to watch. And so that's why they do it.
People be overly helpful than actively hating against each other and creating environments that lead to conflict. And I think that's what it ultimately boils down to is if they really want to solve the toxicity stuff over in WoW, which is prevalent, there's no getting away from it. I don't run into it a lot. I don't think it's as widespread as people feel it is. Of the years that I did the TDP, where we were running Mythic Plus day in, day out, very, very rarely did I have a negative experience.
Wait, why? It's on the other side of the room, bro! Why?
Yeah.
What are you achieving? Ah!
He's doing what he wants, man.
I'm gonna play this. That's fucking killing me.
What am I pressing?
It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter.
But I can't play properly without a damage meter.
No, you're playing a hunter. You can play just fine.
At the same time, 99% of my dungeons were successful, and everything was fine, because I know I'm carrying my weight for the most part, and usually other people are as well.
Yeah, of course.
So it generally worked out pretty well. But there are obviously groups out there with a lot of average to lower average players joining groups that are struggling, and then they're being excluded from further content. And there's really no incentive, like I just talked about, to try and encourage them in some way to get better, or to learn and get better, without being an offensive intruder into your personal space of going through the talent list, like, this is shit, this is shit, this is dog shit, you know, this is bad, what you're doing is bad, your rotation is terrible, just read a guide, lol. all this kind of
True.
stuff. The gameplay of the systems in the game don't encourage that positive gameplay, and that's what I would really like to see. If
I think that's a really good factor, right? Is like talking about like positivity. Like, I'll actually give me a minute. I'm gonna take a piss, and then I'll come back. I want to talk about like some of the things that that like WoW does that I think encourages this negativity. So there's a lot of things that makes WoW, like, it makes it super toxic, right? I think Mythic Plus is a big factor. Also, like, Final Fantasy has things like the sprout icon. Like, for example, if you had somebody who had, like, you know, the little baby Murloc icon they have for the mentor program in WoW, I think if they gave people that baby Murloc icon and it was visible to everyone, people would be nicer to those players. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I absolutely think so. And then also the commendation system at the end of the dungeon encourages positive reinforcement. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do this that are not bad.
It is taking a proper stand against the toxicity in the game, and I'm fully encouraging them doing that. What I would really like to see is be respectful of people's time.
Yes.
The biggest one. It's one of the biggest reasons that I don't miss WoW right now, and hoping changes in Dragonflight. Talks about this a lot on Allcraft with Asmon and Rich. Is I want to be respectful of my time. If I think about the amount of times that I've run Mythic Plus, and I will use that as the prime example rather than raiding.
That's good.
I'm looking for an item, and you know, you're doing 30, 40 runs. And I know when I was talking to OK Mage at the recent Race to World First, it's like she ran the same dungeon 200 times over the course of a season and still didn't get the item she wanted. Like,
yeah, if that happened to me, I would just stop doing it. Like, because, for example, like, it's different with, like, a transmog item because transmog lasts forever. Like, if it's a trinket for, like, one season and I'm not getting it, I just give up. I'm like, fuck this. I don't need to do this. It doesn't matter to me. Who gives a fuck?
Ridiculous. Having to do 10 vaults to end up with a pittance of currency at the end because none of the items it gave you. Like, be respectful of players' time because it creates, if you don't, it naturally creates frustration. It naturally creates frustration. I've wasted all my time. I did 9 hours of dungeons and raids and Mythic Plus or whatever it might be in PvP, and I got nothing for it. I got absolutely nothing for it. It's just not respectful of my time, and there's games out there like PoE's just the season's new season just launched. It's like 400 hours of gameplay for free. It is. Yep. Like, I know people go, oh, you might buy stash tabs and things. It's like, yeah, but you really don't need to. I played for 150 hours without ever doing so.
The PoE, bro, I spent money on PoE for sure. Like, I've spent a lot of money on PoE, but I don't really feel bad about that because it's like, hey, it's whatever. Yeah, it's totally okay.
And the only reason I did is because people were like, you really should. But I was fine. Like, I could continue to play that game for free all the time. And it's those choices are out there. I really hope they do something about the toxicity over there, because right now that's the impression a lot of people have, like League of Legends had and still carries.
Well, WoW is super toxic because, number one, there's no accountability for... He did say doo-doo, didn't he? Doo-doo. Like poop, you know? Oh my god, that's a good one. I'm glad you guys caught on with that one. Yeah. And so that's the thing, right? Is like, you have... I think that in many cases, a lot of games create the toxic environment themselves. They are the ones that are generating the environment. They're making the environment toxic. And the players are just simply playing with what they're given.
The game is really toxic. And it's not just the solution to just outright ban people. It's to foster a gameplay environment that doesn't encourage it. So
well, it's both. Like, not only do you have to foster a game environment that encourages it, but you also have to ban bad actors. Because if people keep doing it, and there's nothing wrong with doing it, and those people don't get actioned, well then, why wouldn't other people do it? Why not do it again? Why not do it like, because if you're not getting in trouble, why would you have any reason to stop?
On this, guys, I really would, because honestly, reading through it, it's like, this is good, but it's not going to change the fact that your environment fosters negativity. And if you want a good gameplay experience, because the MMOs are built on the back, let's face it, of people having a good time in a community.
True.
And if you can encourage that and push it forward, that's the win. That's the win-win for everybody. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
I completely agree with everything you said. I do. I think that the only thing Critical Racist is kind of fuming because there's an achievement to have 1,000 positive commendations. It physically hurts him to hold back the racism. Yeah, I bet, man. I actually think, yeah, I'll read some of the comments here, and I think the reason why this is preached, obviously, like, we watch all of his videos. We watched his videos for years. He's been on my show many times, and so I'm sure you guys know about him. Make sure to give him a sub, give him a like. If you guys haven't seen his videos before, he makes a ton of videos, mainly Final Fantasy related now. And I'm going to watch one more video after this, and then we'll probably get ready with Elden Ring. But first, I want to talk about this and kind of, like, get into it a little bit more and really kind of explain why I think it's a problem. I think that the reason why people don't like the social contract in WoW and why there's been so much pushback for the social contract in WoW is the fact that a lot of people out there, let me think of a way to put it. They see the bad stuff that happens at Blizzard, and then they are like, oh, so you're making me sign a social contract. Me, the person who never fucking abused anybody. Me, the person who never fucking tried to, there was never a breast milk situation at my house. This is not happening. So, like, it's like they're basically projecting their own problems onto the player base as if the player base are the ones who are wrong. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, like, yeah, it's like, thinking, like, I'm not groping anybody. Why am I the one that has to sign this fucking contract? And I think it's offensive to people because it's kind of like, let's say, like, you go somewhere for, like, a pet, and, like, somebody tells you at PetSmart, right? Every single time that, like, the cashier checks you out at PetSmart, they tell you, and remember, don't abuse your animals, don't hit your dog. Would you find that patronizing, and would that bother you? Because, like, for me, it would. Like, I would find that patronizing. I would not like that. By the nature of being told that it's bad by somebody like that, there's the implication that you need to be told that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, being told what to do is that. Yeah, it's a high percentage of people hit their dogs. Well, that's what I mean, right? But, like, whenever you start telling it to everybody, it would be very offensive. I would be offended by that, absolutely.